Good evening, everyone. I'm back again. This is my channel. I am Dr. Spirit. As I told you, I think about a week ago, about a week ago, I, I said I would be back to finish. So, uh, this is part two of that. And uh, I'm going to do a prayer. Let's see. I'm trying to find one. Okay. Grace. Grace is mercy covered with honey. Grace is the unearned favor and blessing from God. For all who believe, God covers believers, not non believers. God covers believers with grace because He understands that we are human beings that consistently mess up. Sometimes it's because we're selfish, and sometimes it's because we've been careless. Regardless, God's grace always covers us. In these moments, God gives us a hug instead of a lecture. This grace is a model for how we can mother, lovingly covering our children, messes, and knowing when it's best to give them hugs in lieu of lectures. Grace is a gift every child needs to receive from a parent. This gift shows them that they are embraced, just as they are. Like honey, grace is always welcome and always sweet. Okay, let's see here. Now, the next is this is part two. Uh, Called Unsung Heroes. Excuse me. Okay. Uh, Now, this is on, uh, let me see. All right. Okay. This is up on Mon- Montfort Point Marines. Okay. And Montfort Point Marines were uh, gentlemen of color that served in the United States Marine Corps, training at a segregated camp in Jacksonville, North Carolina, between 1942 and 1949. Established during systemic segregation and presidential orders. This group of over 20,000 trailblazers overcame extreme prejudice to prove their valor in World War II. Okay. Why Mountain Footprint existed? For the first 166 years of its existence, the U.S. Marine Corps did not allow men of color to enlist. This exclusion finally ended because of the mounting civil rights pressure during World War II. The executive order. In 1941, civil rights leader A. Philip Randolph threatened a massive march on Washington, D.C. to racial desegre- protest racial discrimination in the defense industry. To prevent the march, Franklin, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed an executive order 8802 establishing the Fair Employment Practice Commission and banning discrimination in government agencies and the military. Re- but there was reluctant integration. The Marine Corps leadership at the time strongly opposed the inclusion of men of color. Rather than fully integrating them with white recruits at bases like Paris Island or San Diego, the Corps created a separate segregated boot camp at a swampy, undeveloped area adjacent to Camp Lejeune. And this was called Montfort Point. That is always, okay, let's see, the history and training. Subpar conditions. Men of color recruits who arrived started it in August 1942 were housed, were housed in poorly equipped prefabricated huts. They were frequently subjected to substandard facilities compared to their white counterparts and were routinely denied entry into the main base at Camp Lejeune unless accompanied by a white Marine. exceptional standard. Initially, white officers ran the camp. However, in 1943, non-commissioned men of color officers took over as drill instructors. Driven by the desire to prove their worth, these men trained incredibly hard, shattering previous anti aircraft gunnery records. Combat service, despite facing massive roadblocks, approximately 2,000 Montford Point Marines saw direct combat in the Pacific, most notably during the grueling seizures of Okinawa and Iwo Jima. Legacy and recognition. Military desegregation. The exemplary performance of the Montford Point Marines played a major role in changing perceptions about men of color that served in the military, paving the way for President Harry S. Truman's 1948 executive order to, to fully desegregate the U.S. Armed Forces. The Montford Point came, camp was officially closed in 1949. There were loopholes in that executive order 8802. There's always a loophole for white people. A Congressional Gold Medal in 2011. The surviving members of the Montford Point Marines were collectively awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian award bestowed by the United States Congress. Okay. Camp Gilbert H. Johnson in 1974, the historic Montford Point site was renamed Camp Gilbert H. Johnson in honor of Sergeant Major Gilbert H. Hashmark, nicknamed Johnson, who was one of the camp's legendary black drill instructors. Amen, amen. Okay. Now, the people here, as I said in other things, that the old plantation owners, they did not take uh, our ancestors from just any place, they did research on all this and to get this and this and that. So they brought the best of the best to these shores. And just dumped our ancestors and left. And because we were in an unfamiliar place and did not know what was going on. And because we are descendants of these people that lived through that and went through that, we have the markers on our DNA of what they went through and what happened to them. This is in our bodies, in our DNA, in everything. That is why there's high blood pressure, diabetes, uh, all of this. And we have PTSD because of this. And this is in us. It is part of our ancestors. And it's not a good thing, but I thank them. And I thank our militant men from our ancestry to now. Thank you for serving. And thank all of you for watching. I'll see you soon. Namaste.